The story unfolds dramatically as Tong Zioyu, a girl, loudly confronts and pushes Lu Xin, a guy. He tumbles from a height but miraculously survives the fall. This is his remembrance of the previous night. Accusing her of intentionally causing his fall, he defies Tong Zioyu. She, however, tells him that he was drunk that day and claims that the kiss they shared that day was accidental and attempts to persuade him that, since that moment, he's had a streak of bad luck while she's experienced the opposite. Despite her efforts, Lu Xin dismisses her words and forcefully ushers her out of the room. After being forced out of the hospital room, we know that Zioyu is so disappointed by her bad luck that she will never believe anything goes well in her direction. She says that some people believe luck is a mood, and some think of it as a power, but no one has ever imagined its physicality. Our protagonist, Zioyu, thinks of it as a reservoir of success in life, just like her boss, Lu Xin, who she thinks is the highest reservoir of good luck. Mr. Lu has been a fashion icon for 6 years and runs his fashion design company. Meanwhile, Zioyu, with zero good luck synergy, faces multiple hurdles even in her daily activities. Zioyu worked in the company's department for 2 years and wanted to show the editor-in-chief her passion for designing to get selected for the design department. Her friend checks out her astrological prediction of the day, and Zioyu, accustomed to bad luck, tells her to leave it because nothing has changed in her astrological prediction for decades. She leaves home in a bit of a hurry because she must reach her boss's apartment before 9, otherwise he will leave. While on the way, we see a series of bad luck events in which her taxi gets powered down, so she has to leave it, but as soon as she leaves, the power immediately comes back. So, she barely manages to get to the building. She takes the stairs, as the elevators always don't work for her, and reaches Lu's door just in time. But he leaves his apartment and barely manages to get into the elevator with him. While in the elevator, she requests him to sign a file. Lu signed it, thinking she was worthy as she also figured out his apartment. But soon, the destructive bad luck of Zioyu hits the elevator, and it loses balance. She sticks to Lu for help, but Lu fears heights more than her. Somehow, they get out of the elevator, and while on the way, she tells him to take her to the design department, but Lu doesn't heed her. His secretary, Dolly, waits for him in the car with her contract model, Miss Wenzai. She greets him and chats with her about her day, but Lu is a strong guy and tells her that she must remember her limited relationship and not act too intimate with her in public. While on the way, the news compliments Lu for predicting all the latest fashion trends and thus winning the Street of Awards. Still, the news emphasizes his reprimanding behavior towards fashion designs and models. On the other hand, Zioyu exhausts working in the labor department, from making tea to setting up water chillers. Her manager came across her, so she requested that she be transferred to the design department. She insists that she worked tirelessly in the Liberty department for 2 years to pursue her passion for fashion design. The manager tells her that she is the backbone of their department and that the designing department is more exhausting than the Liberty department. She says she has requested a promotion to the HR department, but they want her to practice more in the company. She gives the file she prepares that requires a few resource owners' signatures. Zioyu hits upon a plan to make things work, if not by good luck. On the other hand, we see Lu and Ms. Wenzai in the award ceremony. Lu couldn't win the award this time, but a female designer, Mrs. Cheng Peiyu, won. Though Mrs. Cheng works for a charity, she created her brand, Yang. Lu walks off the ceremony without saying anything. Zioyu, with the signed papers, sits in the Human Resources office. The officer asks whether the sign on her document is real. Zioyu replies that she got them signed by Mr. Lu that morning. She copied his signature from the other documents, but it worked as the officer approved his application for the transfer to the design department. She also utters that even if one manages to get there, no one makes it to work there longer than 3 months. Back in the car, Dolly and Wenzai are disappointed by the award result because the winner, Ms. Cheng, made her brand only 1 year later. His husband, Lu Ren, might be the real reason behind winning the award, as he greatly influences the fashion industry. Lu tells Dolly that he must ensure from now on that he will never face the Yang group again. He suspects there must be some solid reason behind their award-winning work. Back at Zioyu's, she is happily cleaning her home, but when her roommate arrives, she tries to act as usual, failing again. Her roommate tried to comfort her, but she burst out with all her happy emotions that she was going to the design department tomorrow. The next day, when she prepares to leave for the job, her roommate tells her to see her horoscope. Zioyu replies that she has figured out how to overcome her bad luck. All she needs to do is remain one step ahead to be successful. Her roommate is surprised by her promising attitude to break his day. During her visit to the design department, Zioyu was taken aback by the unexpected scenarios that unfolded. She observed Dolly, the department's supervisor, rebuking every designer who worked there under Lu's instructions. Dolly then introduced Zioyu to their department's genius designers, Wang Lai and Jai Kai. He went on to inform her about the department's other designers, including Lin, Jian, Billy, and Louis, whom he called the company's worst designers. Curious about her position in the department, Zioyu asked Dolly about it. He replied that she would take Wang Lai's place as a designer once he got fired. Until then, she would be temporarily sitting with another designer named Bai. When Zioyu inquired about her panda eyes, Bai welcomed her to the design department, which always worked relentlessly as most of their designs were consistently rejected by Lu Xin. On Zioyu's first day, she sketched some dress designs she had always liked. Later that night, when Lu left his office, he saw the designs and was reminded of his mother wearing a similar dress. This made him emotional, and he asked Zioyu if she could draw those designs. However, he also criticized her and called the designs childish. Zioyu persisted and asked Lu to point out the flaws in her designs. Lu left without saying a word but kept thinking about their interaction. We also see a scar on Lu's chest, which hints at the upcoming exciting events. Later, we learn that Zioyu's words reminded Lu of his childhood when he used to ask his mother to critique his drawings with the same passion as Zioyu. After returning to the office, he hands Dolly some books to give to Zioyu. Dolly, feeling envious, gives her the books and returns to his office. Lu rebukes Dolly and instructs him to let Zioyu read the books under his supervision. Dolly feels ashamed and approaches Zioyu, telling her to read the books immediately because Lu has never given anyone books to read. Zioyu starts reading the books and realizes that her designs are childish. She thanks Lu for his help. The video of Lu with the famous model Wenzai went viral on social media, and gossip reached Lu Xin's phone. He becomes furious at the recurring phone calls from gossip magazines and reprimands Dolly for not managing the situation effectively. As he leaves the office, Daiki returns the books to him, mentioning Zioyu's gratefulness for his help. As Wenzai enters Lu's office, she tries to comfort him with her words. However, Lu senses that Wenzai, the chief model of their magazine, might have spread the news about their relationship. He warns her not to repeat it to anyone. Wenzai then reveals the reason for her actions. The host challenges Lu in his television show by slandering his name for reprimanding fashion and models. Wenzai wants to wrong this host by using Lu's relationship with her. Wanting to know more about the situation, Lu inquires if this host's runway show is popular. Dolly and Wenzai confirm that the show has a good public standing. Lu then comes up with a plan to counteract the host's actions. He instructs Dolly to tell Tong Zioyu, one of their designers, to prepare to participate in the show. By doing so, they can showcase their designs and prove the host wrong about their fashion and models. Dolly informs Zioyu, equally amazed, that her good luck reservoir has turned out to be so strong. Zioyu is excited to participate because Wenzai will be her dress model. However, she is unable to fathom her emotions. Her friend tells her she deserves it since she has dreamed of becoming a designer for a decade. In a flashback, Zioyu is standing in front of an amazing dress named Nikki. She talks with a guy who made the most successful dress in his fashion cup, but Zioyu doesn't want to introduce herself to him. Back at the office, Bao tells her to finish her work since it's closing time. However, Zioyu works overtime, and after days of effort, she prepares the suit. As the contest was about to begin, Zioyu arrived at the stage, ready to fulfill her lifelong dream. Meanwhile, Lu watched the show from a nearby restaurant. The host explained the rules of the contest before it began. Zioyu kept checking her dress, which caught the attention of Wenzai, who complimented her on it. When the contest began, Zioyu and Wenzai walked the stage to showcase their designs. The host thanked Mr. Lu for allowing Wenzai to participate, as it had increased the show's ratings. The host asked Zioyu about the inspiration behind her dress, and she replied that she had always dreamed of being a designer since childhood. Her love for this passion motivated her to create the dress. However, the judges gave a biased review of her dress, pointing out minor flaws, such as the dress's cut and the belt's color. Xin realized that his competitor, Mu Yang, had paid the judges to discredit Zioyu's dress because it was perfectly tailored. During the fashion competition, the second contestant, Lu Yan, presents her dress on the stage. Zioyu, one of the attendees, is taken aback as she notices that the dress's design is identical to Nikki's, her most admired dress. Zioyu assumes that the contestant she could not introduce earlier is Lu Yan. However, Lu Xin becomes completely angry upon seeing the dress and immediately leaves. Meanwhile, the audience is thrilled to see the stunning dress and cheers for Lu Yan. The judges were equally impressed and gave her dress a perfect score of 10. However, to everyone's surprise, they intentionally gave 0 scores to the dress presented by Zioyu. The unfair scoring proves to be a significant setback for Lu magazine and humiliates Wenzai. After the competition, the host confronts Lu Yan and mocks him for not living up to the expectations of being the son of the famous Professor Lu Ren. The host leaves after his cruel words, leaving Lu feeling disheartened. However, Zioyu approaches him, filled with excitement. Lu is surprised that she is still excited despite the setback in the contest. She tells him that the Nikki dress he designed was the first dress she ever liked, and meeting the designer makes her quite happy. Zioyu confirms that she remembers him. Lu is unsure if he has met her before, but before he can say anything, Zioyu falls silent. Suddenly, Lu Xin appears and starts fighting with Yan. Yan pushes him away, so Zioyu steps in to stop them from fighting. Lu becomes aggressive with Lu Yan and pushes him towards the wall by gripping his neck, indicating that he has gone too far. Zioyu tries to intervene and stop Lu from beating him, but Lu Yan retaliates by kicking Lu and also pushing Zioyu towards him. As Zioyu is about to fall on Lu, Lu Yan grabs her from behind. Lu then gets up, walks away, and leaves the scene with an air of tension. In the middle of the night, Lu wakes up from a nightmare of a car accident where he and his mother crash into a truck. He has flashbacks of the accident as he sees scars on his hand and finger. While recalling these memories, he reaches for his ring from the side table and slips it on his finger, covering the scar. At Lu Yan's house, his father, Lu Ren, calls and informs him that he has seen his work on the runway and that the judges are his friends who appreciate his work. His father tries to inquire about the design, but his mother, Cheng, interrupts and praises the dress. His father comments that the dress is not bad and asks Lu Yan about his plans as he has been idling away since returning to China. Lu Yan explains that he has just come back and is reconnecting with old friends. His mother admonishes him, saying that they also want him to have more friends in the design world. They created young and have a good reputation, but they are getting old now and want him to run the business. His father advises him to be serious, and then he leaves. Lu Yan then inquires about the design from his mother if that design is hers and explains that if he is going for the competition, he can do his design. His mother clears by questioning that he is doubting his mother and he has to follow her words if he wants his dad to recognize him. Lu Yan gifts his mother a unique handbag he made himself, which can match various clothes in different conditions. However, his mother rejects it and scolds him for spending his time on useless things instead of design, which is what he should be doing after studying abroad. In the design department, Dolly drags Zaoyu towards Lu's office and advises her not to talk back, offering the possibility of salary compensation of 3 months instead of being fired. When Zaoyu reaches Lu's office, he asks her why she received 5 zeros. She suggests that it might be because Lu Yan is so good and that she hasn't seen any other design that can compete with it. She compliments the design but adds that too much attention on the fabric makes it less wearable. Upon hearing this, Lu gestures to Dolly to take Zaoyu outside. Dolly believes that he will complete all the formalities needed for her resignation. However, Lu takes her to Huang Lai's seat, making her the youngest assistant in the office. He also gave her the name Olympics because of the 5 zeros. Dolly brings Zaoyu's file for Lu's habits to her desk, and she thinks if the company is jailed. Dolly also brings her company lanyard with her identity on it as Olympics. He also bets that she cannot survive here for a month. On this, she also assures him gently that she is an expert in competing the troubles. Lu then calls up Olympics. Next, Zaoyu gets in some trouble during work as she leaves the van. She gets stuck. In another scene, Zaoyu seems to be quickly finishing her food as she gets late for work. She is running with a lot of office luggage, and as she arrives, she quickly engages with the call of Lu. As she is leaving the office with clothes, she stumbles upon the bottle and is about to fall, but suddenly, Lu Yan holds her with a hug and saves her. As they are picking up the clothes, they start to have a conversation about these clothes. Lu Yan elaborates on the fabric of one of them as it was used in armies in 1945. Zaoyu also tells him about the fabric and prints of another as it was characteristic of ancient cultures. He compliments them in surprise about how she knows about fabric and also tells her that he had studied fabrics instead of design abroad 10 years ago. On this, she also became aware that she hadn't seen him ever since. Her phone suddenly starts to send her notifications, and as she is leaving, she questions if he remembered the girl who wanted to learn the design 10 years ago. He responded that he couldn't remember about 10 years ago, but then he met one. In the department, as Zaoyu is thinking about how unlucky she is to meet an arrogant person like Lu, he suddenly arrives. He picks up a water bottle, and when he is leaving, she appeals to him to have more design-related jobs instead of the other chores. He, with a bit of anger, reminds her that he is the editor-in-chief. He directs her to do what he says and also orders her to clean the trash as he kicks the trash can. She becomes very freaked out and thinks of burying him. But he came back and threw files of issues of the month to her and demanded her thoughts on these. Lu Yan, the receptionist, comes for Zaoyu from the design department. Receptionist surprised by his arrival. She informs him that she now does not work in the design department. She is the junior assistant Lu. She is out and should be back at any moment. Zaoyu then appears and starts to settle her bit of messy hair. She, after seeing Lu Yan, excitedly asks him about his arrival. He comes for her to give her a letter saying that he heard that she is the junior assistant of Lu Zeng and this letter could be good for her. He then leaves after setting some messy hairs off her. It is a letter of appointment from him. She hides it as Dolly arrives. He gave her a bunch of files to arrange them. Upsetting about this, she shows complaints about this much work. Dolly says how many people want to work for Mr. Lu, and this work is an honor for you. She thinks in mind that whoever wants the honor is popular now. After arranging the files completely, she showed them to Lu. Zaoyu tells him about his goal to become a designer. He questions about it and tells her that goals can be achieved, not daydreams. Then he further instructs her to convert these files into digital documents, and he needs them completed by the morning of the next day. While Zaoyu is busy writing, her roommate tries to offer her help as she is very good at writing, but Zaoyu refuses to get any help. The next morning, as she arrives, Dolly tells her about the plagiarism in articles, and the CEO also becomes aware of it. She becomes very worried about it. Lu calls her in his office with the deputy director also arriving in the office. Zaoyu takes the whole responsibility and explains how she can correct and advise to interview Professor Lu Ren. But Lu becomes very mad at listening to Lu Ren's name. At the sight of shooting pictures, when Zai is already waiting for Lu. She hasn't completed the shoot as the temperature is a little hot. She asks for help from Zaoyu from Lu. She orders to bring silver shoes, but Zioyu refuses to do so as she works for Lu, not for her. She complains to Lu about that, but he takes the side of Zioyu, saying that she is right, and orders Wenzai to change her look. Zioyu expresses to Lu that she is just bringing trouble because of her bad luck since she was little. Lu angrily explains that she is just dumb to think that way. Further, as she is expressing her luck, she is about to fall because she seems to be tired, but Lu saves her. She faints and becomes unconscious because of low blood sugar level. Lu saves her, brings her to the shooting place back and places a little sweet in her mouth. As Lu is leaving, she thanks Lu and informs him about his meeting. Lu, in his van, tells Dolly also to buy some sweets. Lu then messages Zioyu to take care of the necklace in the pocket of his coat. But as she arrives in Lu's office, she seems to lose it. As she searches her bag, Dolly also asks her what has happened. But she didn't tell him about the necklace. She searched for the necklace in the whole shooting area but couldn't find it. She also tried to find similar necklaces from jewelry shops but couldn't find anything similar to a necklace. She also tries to get info from Dolly, but he also intensifies her worry about the necklace as it is very important for Lu. Zioyu, sitting beside Songru and Bao Bao, expresses her worries about the lost necklace and also explains her other past mistakes of plagiarized pictures, troubles with the model, and her fainting during the shoot. Songru suggests that Lu is not very stubborn because Zioyu's past mistakes of Zioyu could make her fire as compared to the necklace loose. Bao suggests she find a new one for him, but she searched everywhere but couldn't find anything similar. Lu Yan arrives at the scene and tells them that he can handle the situation if he gets the picture of it, and he claims to make a copy of the necklace. Lu Yan then gets introduced to the Songru, and Bao starts working on the necklace. The next morning, Lu calls Olympics and inquires about the necklace. She asked if he got the necklace tomorrow as she put it in the bag. But Lu wants the necklace immediately. Lu Yan brings the necklace to Zioyu. She happily returns it to Lu, but he asks where he found this necklace because Lu has already found the original one on the floor. She responds that she finds it in a bag in his house. He then shows her the original necklace. Zioyu becomes very sorry about the necklace and for doing so and explains to him that she didn't do it on purpose and he should have told her about the necklace. Lu becomes infuriated about her mistakes and her attitude toward plagiarizing or copying in work. Lu ends up firing Zioyu. Now, during the night, Lu, with both necklaces and a beer or whiskey, can be seen on the rooftop. Zioyu is also seen on the rooftop with a bottle of beer or whiskey, thinking that after 2 years in this company, she has to leave now. Lu Yan, a talented and hardworking artist, is sitting in his cozy office, surrounded by his sketches and paintings. He is deeply engrossed in his work, sketching Zioyu, a beautiful and enigmatic woman who has captured his attention. As he draws her, he thinks about their upcoming meeting and wonders what she will be like in person. Meanwhile, Zioyu, who is feeling lost and overwhelmed by the difficulties in her life, has retreated to the rooftop to escape her problems for a while. She sits there, sipping on a bottle of wine and staring out at the city below, lost in thought. Suddenly, she sees Lu in the distance and decides to approach him. As she gets closer, she starts shouting at him, venting her frustration and anger towards him. She tells him that she will not suffer from him anymore and that she is resigning. Lu, however, reminds her that he had actually fired her. Zioyu continues to express her frustration, claiming that Lu is nothing without his good luck. She accuses him of having an easy life and not understanding the struggles of ordinary people. In response, Lu grabs her leg firmly and bites it, telling her that he works hard while she sleeps. He explains that he has sacrificed everything for his art and has no friends or family to rely on. In that intense and unexpected moment, Lu falls into Zioyu's arms, and they share a passionate and romantic kiss. As they embrace, all their anger and frustration seem to melt away, replaced by a sense of closeness and understanding. For a brief moment, it seems like nothing else in the world matters except the two of them. Episode 3. The next day begins, and on the roof of the building, a janitor happens to come across Olympics and Lu Xin sleeping while hugging. In utter surprise, the janitor captured a picture of them and sent them to the staff. The entire company is shocked to see it. Dolly can't believe it, so he checks his office room of Lu and is even surprised, so he immediately calls Lu. He answers the call unmindfully. While talking, he realizes he is on the rooftop with the Olympics. So he pushes her away, and she wakes up in sheer dismay. The whole staff comes to the roof to see them and starts to record. Olympics can't bear the shame. She tries to suicide, blaming her bad luck. Dolly tries to approach her, but she warns him that she will jump. Lu convinces her not to jump, but he forcibly carries her away from the top. But watching the whole staff watching them, he loosened her to the ground. Her necklace somehow gets chained up with Lu's, so he hands it to her, daring not to break it apart. While in the office, when they walk, everyone gossips about them. So Lu asks her if she remembers what happened last time. Olympics vaguely thought of kissing him, but she didn't tell him. Lu walks away from her to stop more gossip about them in the company. Lu Yan gets Zioyu at a restaurant, but she fears Lu Xin, saying that he might create problems for her if he finds her with Yan. Yan, being a nice guy, briefs her about the promising future of his company and does not care about Lu Xin anymore. Realizing his likely behavior, she is curious about what he finds attractive in her as an employee. He replies that she is enthusiastic, which is the most important thing for the designer. His brand hires designers unaware of their potential, but he foresees it in them. Olympics asks him the most awaited question, if he designs the dress, Nikki, for his mother, but she gets a phone call from Ruru to meet her at Bai's restaurant. However, the discussion about Nikki just gets skipped by the phone call, and Lu Yan tells her to read the material he will send her. Back at the office, Lu Xin, in his fury, rebukes everyone for minute mistakes because, this time, the journalist highlights Lu Ran, which agitates him. Dolly informs him that he wrote an article imitating Lu's company. Lu, in frustration, asks Dolly to tell Xiaoyu to prepare tea for him. Dolly, in confusion, asks him if he hasn't already fired her, but he never does. At Bai's restaurant, Olympics meets Ruru and inquires about her last night out. She tells her that she got drunk but disregards being touched by anyone. Further, she tells her about her resignation from Sheik. Ruru is surprised that she gets fired and receives an invitation from Lu Yan to his company, Yang. Ruru gets excited and orders Bai to bring something special, but Olympics tells her she can't believe how things are going well on her side. Ruru readily looks up the astrological predictions and utters that all the events are going well for her. This has never happened before. Meanwhile, Lu Yan also appears in the restaurant to grab some tools he left the other day. Xiaoyu thanked him for his job offer. However, she looks confused because Lu Xin has assigned him to separate the chain necklaces that are entirely identical. Lu Yan not only detaches the chain but smartly sorts out her chain because it has few flaws. Watching his cooperative behavior, Xiaoyu draws TL on her necklace, hinting at their successful cooperation. At home, Xiaoyu tells Ruru about Lu Xin, who talks with her a lot, just like Lu Yan, but she doesn't remember. However, she is excited to join Yang and Lu Yan, the designer of Nikki. The next day, we see Lu Xin trying to start his car, but it gets powered off. When he tries to take a taxi, a couple rushes into the cab and excuses him. Conversely, things start to work in favor of the Xiaoyu, like readily having a cab and winning lucky customer rewards. Meanwhile, bad luck starts to hit Lu Xin. They meet in Chic, where Lu asks if he gets a new job. Xiaoyu tells him about securing a job at Yang. Lu Xin surprised her by saying that until she approved her resignation, she had no right to leave his company. Afterward, Lu Yan had Xiaoyu show her the antique part of his company. He has a collection of items he loves, like a bicycle, an old-fashioned loom, and his handcrafted wooden box. Xiaoyu considers him an irrelevant rich kid, which Lu Yan takes as a compliment. He asks if she would like to see her office in the company. She replies that Lu Xin has not accepted her resignation, so it will be early for her to review her office. Back at Lu Xin's office, Sarah Lu comes into the room and tells her that his company's performance is worsening because the distributors refuse to place their next month's order and continuously demand delayed payments. He replies that he will handle all the dealings, but as he calls an anchor to learn about the circulation of his name in the media, his phone gets powered off. It pisses him off, and he leaves the office. Outside their building, he watches Xiaoyu with Lu Yan and asks why he isn't working in the company. Xiaoyu replies that she has resigned, but Lu hasn't accepted it, so he commands her to get to work. Lu Yan adds that he is being too bossy and that it's an employee's right to leave any company. Lu Xin doesn't pay any heed to him and leaves. Xiaoyu has no option but to follow him. In his office, he requests Lu to accept his resignation. Still, Lu handles her work to find the numbers of all the designers because the company has a lot of bad news circulating around, so they will prepare an exhibition. He also warns her that if she doesn't comply, she must pay compensation for leaving without the company's consent. Sarah Lu goes to the president's office to ascertain his company is a problem and convinces him to handle the work himself. Though the president believes in Lu Xin, he agrees to pursue things himself. Back at home, Xiaoyu collects all the phone numbers of designers, and Ruru asks why he is doing the exhibition work for Yang. Xiaoyu replies that Lu Xin wants him to carry the exhibition and is not letting her resign. Ruru suspects that Lu Xin might have a crush on her, so Xiaoyu gets annoyed and tells her to leave. Right after, she receives a call from a journalist from Celebrity Weekly, who tells her that Lu Xin has got people killed and that if he wants his secret not to get exposed, he must meet him today at the off-road restaurant. Xiaoyu couldn't believe it and informed Lu about it. He was injured if he did so but hung up the call. At the restaurant, Lu meets the journalist who tells him that he got the evidence of killing in the car accident 10 years ago in which he was involved. He demands 500 grand to keep this secret. Lu threatens him that if his article is not verified by the police and gets posted, his family will miss him a lot. The next day, Xiaoyu comes to his office, surprising him with the sneaked photos, videos, and recordings she made of the journalist blackmailing Lu. Lu thanks her, and she gets cocky and replies with her regards. After reviewing the exhibition report, he points out some crucial points she misses. He also tells her that she focuses too much on her naturally driven abilities and does induce new skills that she needs to focus on. Xiaoyu is amazed to hear him motivating her for a while as he never speaks often. Lu directs her to run away because he doesn't want to spend more time with losers. Meanwhile, Dolly comes to his office with advertisement documents for the exhibition. He said that in a short period, they cannot contact big models. At the inclusion of Liu Cheng, Liu asks Dolly if the guy is not thievish. Dolly replies that he is thievish but the only person who can arrange an exhibition quickly. So, he immediately visits the exhibition to look at his designs. Lu Yan also happens to appear in the exhibition and the Xiaoyu. Surprised by his presence, Lu Yan asks about his arrival. He tells her that he is also one of the celebs who can make Lu Xin's exhibition stand on good marks, so he will not be angry with him. Meanwhile, the journalist keeps blackmailing Lu Xin into leaking the news, which significantly infuriates him. At the exhibition, Sarah Lu asks Xiaoyu about the development of Lu Ren's interview. Lu Yan agrees to an interview in which Sarah Lu had said that Lu Xin is too proud to reconcile and never accepts his faults. She gives Xiaoyu the contract number of Sarah Lu Ren's wife, who is her colleague, and tells her to try convincing Lu Yan through her wife. When Xiaoyu calls her and tells her about Sheikh's interview, she also refuses to help her as Lu Yan can never give an interview to her company. Xiaoyu feels fatigued and tries to eat some sweets. However, Lu Chen approaches her and invites her to review her speech for Lu in his room. But he turns into an enigmatic freak and starts to physically harass her. Xiaoyu, already tired, couldn't resist him and unconsciously fell on the sofa. Chen is clueless about what happened to her, and suddenly, Lu Xin enters the room. He pushes Chen away and reprimands what he has done to her. Chen tells him that she suddenly gets unconscious and runs away. Lu Xin realizes she has low blood sugar, so he feeds her a sweet candy. When Dolly enters their room, he backs off, thinking they are having a good time, but Lu shouts at him to return and hand him candies to feed her. When he leaves, Xiaoyu's phone receives a call from Lu Ren. Dolly answers the call and tells him about Xiaoyu's unconscious in the VIP room. When Xiaoyu gets conscious, she sees Lu Yan with her with proper medication for low blood sugar. Lu Yan tells her that she is unconscious during the whole exhibition. Lu Yan offers to drive home, but she rejects him because he can't go well. After all, he is drunk, so he let her drive his car to her home. When she sits in the car, Xiaoyu tells her she has passed the driving test but hasn't driven for a while, though she is confident to go. On the other hand, bad luck after bad luck keeps on hitting Lu Xin. He gets pissed to know Dolly left Xiaoyu with Lu Yan. Afterward, he gets taken up by the news mentioning him in the unsettled killing of one person and injuring several in a car road accident. A flashback of memories of the accident comes across his mind, in which we see her mother drive a car and get hit by the truck. He gets several injuries, but her mother passes away in that accident. Yu gets wholly lost and freezes to the ground. Xiaoyu and Lu Yan also hear the news. Suddenly, she reaches the walkthrough but does slow down, and a car nearly hits her, so she tries to avoid it and hits Lu Xin, who is crossing the road at that instant. Lu Xin collapsed to the ground and faded away. Xiaoyu and Lu Yan fabricated to realize that Lu Xin had an accident with them. She rushes towards him and tries to get him up, but Lu's back is bleeding heavily and he gets severely injured. Xiaoyu starts to shiver to see Lu Xin's neck bleeding. The ambulance arrives, and he is admitted to the hospital. After a while, a nurse approaches her to fill out hospital formalities because the patient is being cared for. Xiaoyu reluctantly agrees. On the other hand, we see Wen Zai with a pot of soup, gathering the media reporters inside the hospital. She tries to pick people's sentiments by showing fake care for Lu Xin. When questioned about Xiaoyu hitting Lu Xin, she replies that Lu will decide when he will hopefully recover. Xiaoyu interrupts her and warns the media to leave because Lu Xin is still in the emergency room. Afterward, she apologizes to Wen Zai and offers her the opportunity to face the consequences and the compensation. Wen scolds her for being poor and suggests she avoid contact with Lu afterward. Surprisingly, she doesn't wait in the hospital and asks her to give Lu the chicken soup, mentioning her name. So Xiaoyu has to take the responsibility of checking Lu Xin. A doctor tells her that Lu Xin's condition is relatively stable. He has a foot and neck injury, which he will recover soon. When Lu Xin becomes conscious and reminds her of his accident and the Xiaoyu who hits her, he finds it hard even to move a limb. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu, with plenty of food, arrives in his room. She is excited because Lu has finally woken up. Lu tells her to hush and makes the sound of her footsteps. Xiaoyu asks who will care for her if he wants her to leave. Our proud protagonist, unmindful of his injuries, shouts at her to leave as she agitates him. But right after, he wants to drink water but is helpless. Back at the Sheik president's office, Sarah Lu is finding it hard to work as an editor-in-chief of the company. So she is worried about the declining sales of their magazine. The president of the company is playing golf while listening to her. He tells her it is time to see how she increases the sales in a month, so he will award her bonuses. He remains busy playing golf, so Sarah Lu leaves his office agitated. Xiaoyu feels sad because she has done a lot of damage and doesn't know if Lu Xin has eaten anything. She makes up her mind to take care of him until his recovery. On the other hand, Lu wonders that he has started feeling lonely after being admitted to the hospital. He believes that what he always fears will surely come to his life. Dolly informs that in his absence, Sarah Lu runs the company temporarily. He also yells at him that his stocks have reached the bottom limit. He asks Lu if Xiaoyu is responsible for all the expenses, so why is he alone bearing it? Lu replies that she can't take all the expenses, to which Dolly, surprised by his kindness, pats him on the leg. Lu Xin, in sheer pain, hits him with a magazine and asks him to go away. Meanwhile, a nurse arrives to change his medicine and tells Lu to pay all the dues within 3 days. After realizing the expenses, Lu asks Dolly to transfer him to a general hospital. Back at the company, Dolly informs her about the respected condition of Lu Xin. Meanwhile, Sarah Lu happens to pass through them. She speaks to the whole staff and rebukes her over delaying filming for an hour. She further added that they need to understand the worth of their clients and not offend them for a little bit. Then, she comes to Xiaoyu's cabin and inquires about Lu Ren's interview. She says that Lu Xin has ceased her from doing so. Sarah Lu gets overwhelmed and bursts into frustration that they want all top-tier points in their magazine for sales. But Xiaoyu is worried about Lu Xin's transfer to the hospital. Lu Yan is waiting for Xiaoyu outside the company because he thinks he was also involved in an accident. The traffic police have let them go because Lu Xin is receiving treatment. Lu Yan accompanies Xiaoyu to the hospital where Lu Xin is being treated. Lu Xin is furious and wants Dolly to respond as soon as possible. He calls the flowers and food Xiaoyu brings garbage. Xiaoyu tries to calm him down by saying that good and bad times come in life, so he must be patient. Lu Yan comes to him and gives him his credit card for all the compensation. Lu Xin feels small in front of him, so he throws away the card in the fruit box and angrily shouts. They are about to fight, but Xiaoyu gets in the way and calms Lu Yan. Lu Xin is agitated by Xiaoyu's unthankful behavior and asks Xiaoyu for help. He suggests she stay away from Lu Xin. Xiaoyu asks him to convince Lu Yan to do an interview with Sheik. He solves her problem by assisting her in convincing Lu Yan in his school. When she returns to Lu Xin's bedroom, she tells him that Lu Yan has come for an apology, but Lu still wants to be shifted immediately. Somehow, Xiaoyu convinces Lu that she will take care of her medication so he doesn't need to change the hospital. So she prepares food for him the next day at home. Realizing the scenario, Ruru hints at the luck shifting between Xiaoyu and Lu Xin. However, she still thinks of her as unlucky. When Lu eats her food, it doesn't taste good to him. But days went like that, and Lu slowly recovered. Afterward, we see a hilarious display of moments in which Lu Xin faces lousy luck picking up good straws and slips into the pool. Unlike Xiaoyu, luck is going well. After falling into the pool, Lu Xin again gets admitted to the hospital. Still, Xiaoyu accompanies her this time as her left foot also gets injured. They both keep fighting because things start to mess up more when they meet. Lu has severely bad days, while Xiaoyu is also disturbed by comforting bad days. On the other hand, we see Lu Yan waiting for her in the office. Wen Zai informs him that she has been hospitalized, so he hands her a packet to give her. Meanwhile, we see both of them sitting again after having verbal combat. Lu Yan calls her, so she comes out of the room to answer it. Lu Yan scares her by coming behind her. Lu Xin comes to the door and starts sneaking through the window. Lu Yan tells her he can pick her up for Lu Ren's interview. But she stopped him, and Lu Xin got angry to see her. Further, to avoid Lu Yan, she acted as if she had a sudden pain in her chest and somehow convinced him that she needed to care for the person in the next room she could go to right now. Back in the bedroom, she asks Lu Ren, who is just here to help her, why he gets annoyed by him. Lu Xin represents that she is the one who took the responsibility to take care of him, so she can't leave anyone. Further, her lousy luck has doomed Lu's life, so he remains angry at her. Xiaoyu heads to the school the following day to interview Professor Lu Ren. Still, unfortunately, she learns that he won't be available due to a meeting he needs to attend. Lu Yan, who accompanied her, felt sorry for Xiaoyu and regretted that they couldn't interview the professor. After a long and exhausting day, Xiaoyu returns home to find Ruru. Ruru tells her that she has figured out how luck works. According to her, if one person is lucky, the other person must be unlucky. She gives the example of Lu Xin and Xiaoyu, stating that she didn't get hurt when Xiaoyu fell to the ground. Still, Lu slipped into the pool and got injured. Xiaoyu expresses her desire to interview Professor Lu Yan and her disappointment that they couldn't do so. However, Ruru assures her that her luck has been shifted to Lu Xin, who has been experiencing bad luck. She then teases Xiaoyu about her accidental kiss with Lu Xin, which she got while drunk. Xiaoyu is somewhat embarrassed but admits that she felt lucky after the kiss. Ruru then tells Xiaoyu that Lu Xin has been very supportive of her and that she should reciprocate his kindness. She suggests Xiaoyu could help him out of his bad luck by kissing him again. Xiaoyu agrees, feeling she owes Lu Xin a lot for his support and decides to proceed. Fortunately, Lu Yan calls Xiaoyu and informs her that Professor Lu Yan will attend an international fashion exhibition, giving her another chance to interview him. Xiaoyu feels relieved and excited at the opportunity to interview the professor. Xiaoyu rushes straight to Lu Xin's hospital room to tell him about the kiss they shared and how things had been difficult for him since that day. However, Lu Xin doesn't believe her and forces her to leave the room. Despite this, Xiaoyu continues to persuade him by pointing out his current circumstances, such as the drop in magazine sales, her sudden fame in the design industry, and a job offer from Yang. In an attempt to undo the curse of bad luck that seems to be haunting Lu Xin, Xiaoyu tries to kiss him through the glass, but suddenly she falls to the ground. The nurse diagnoses it as a possible hypoallergenic spasm, and she is given a glucose drip to help her recover. When Xiaoyu wakes up, Lu Xin gives her sweet candies to maintain her blood sugar. Xiaoyu recalls the day she had this candy but realizes now that it was Lu Xin who gave it to her. Lu Xin tells her to keep quiet and leave if she feels well, but Xiaoyu insists on staying as she wants to discuss how they can improve Lu Xin's life. She points at his lips and says that one kiss will solve all their problems, but Lu Xin gets annoyed at being called cursed by her repeatedly. He tells her to stop cursing him and feels tired. However, Xiaoyu's medicine hasn't finished yet, so she returns the candies to take as a meal.